They believe a high-tech alarm is the only way to protect a home. They are wrong. What if the most effective defense was not a blinking light but a forgotten secret from the 1940s? We unearthed civilian defense manuals from the Second World War, and what we found was staggering. These are not battlefield tactics. These are ingenious home protection systems, engineered by ordinary people under extraordinary threat. In this video, we'll reveal 9 of these lost tricks. So psychologically intimidating, they could make a modern intruder turn and run. This isn't about paranoia. It's about resilience. In an era of convenience, we have outsourced our safety. We've become comfortable. But the generation that faced the Blitz, that stared down invasion, they couldn't afford that luxury. They had something we've lost. A mindset of radical self-reliance. They were masters of turning the mundane into a mechanism of defense. They understood a truth we have forgotten. The most secure home is not the most technologically advanced. It's the one that presents itself as the most difficult, frustrating, and dangerous target. These aren't historical curiosities. They are lessons in layered defense, psychological warfare, and brutal simplicity, just as relevant today. We're going to deconstruct these methods, piece by piece, drawing from official government circulars and the first-hand accounts of the Home Guard. A blueprint for a fortress that relies not on wealth, but on wisdom. Number 1. The multi-layered window fortress. Let's begin with the most vulnerable point of a modern home. The window. To an intruder, a large pane of glass is an invitation. They see it as a shortcut. But during World War II, under the constant threat of aerial bombardment, a window wasn't just a vulnerability, it was a potential bomb. The shockwave from a nearby explosion could turn it into a spray of high-velocity glass shrapnel. The solution was a system of 3 layers. It transformed a weak point into a formidable barrier. First, blackout curtains or shutters. This was the most visible defense. Government regulations were strict. Any glimmer of light could guide a bomber. Many families used heavy, thick drapes of black cotton, but the most security-conscious homes installed solid wooden shutters, bolted into the window frame. Their primary job was blocking light, but their secondary function was as a physical barrier. A burglar today might smash a window in seconds, but a solid bolted shutter, that requires time, effort, and noise. 3 things an intruder cannot afford. The second layer was crisscross taping. You have seen this in historical photos. People would apply strips of fabric or sticky paper in a lattice pattern across the window pane. The principle was simple. It didn't stop the glass from breaking under a blast wave, but it held the shards together. Instead of exploding inward as thousands of daggers, the glass would flex, crack, and fall in a single, less lethal sheet. It turned a fragmentation threat into a blunt one. The third layer was wire mesh. For those wanting ultimate protection, installing fine steel mesh or even chicken wire behind the window was a final touch. This allowed for ventilation, which was crucial in stuffy, blacked-out homes, but it served a dual purpose. It was a last line of defense against flying debris and a nasty surprise for any intruder who managed to get through the shutter and the glass. They would be met not with an open space, but with a wall of wire, difficult to cut quietly and prone to snagging clothing. This system worked because it attacked an intruder's most valuable assets, time and silence. It broadcasted that this home was not an easy target. It was prepared. Number 2, the psychological wire. In the mandatory darkness of a citywide blackout, the greatest weapon a homeowner had was the intruder's own fear. An intruder relies on their senses. Take away their sight, and you cripple their confidence. World War II. Homeowners learned to weaponize the darkness. This brings us to a trick the manuals never mentioned, the simple tripwire. The vulnerability is an intruder's assumption of a clear path. They expect to move quickly and silently, their focus on valuables, not the floor. The World War II hack was brutally simple. A length of wire or string stretched at ankle height across a darkened hallway. In the pitch black, it was invisible. Its purpose wasn't to injure. Its purpose was psychological. Imagine the scenario. An intruder bypasses a lock, their adrenaline high. They take a confident step, and suddenly, their foot snags. They are sent sprawling, their gear clattering against the floor. In an instant, the element of surprise is lost. The crash is loud and unambiguous. The intruder is disoriented, on the floor, and a terrifying question enters their mind. What else is there? This low-tech trick transforms the house from a passive target into a hostile environment. The will to continue often evaporates in that moment of noisy failure. The modern application requires a significant disclaimer. In our society, a trap causing injury, even to an intruder, can have serious legal consequences. Therefore, we adapt the principle, not the method. The goal is no longer to cause a fall, but to create an unavoidable loud noise. Think of a thin tripwire across a back gate. Connected to a string of empty tin cans, the gate opens, the wire pulls, and the clatter breaks the silence. It's not in the house, minimizing legal risk, but it tells you someone is there. It tells the intruder they have been detected. In a true grid-down scenario, a stack of pots and pans balanced on the inside of a door, propped to crash when opened, serves the same purpose. It's simple. It's loud. The goal is to create that moment of sudden, shocking noise that shatters their confidence and gives you seconds to react. Number 3. The weapon in every room today. We think of home defense as a single tool locked in a single safe. But what if the intruder is between you and that safe? The World War II generation, especially the Home Guard, had a different philosophy, born from a scarcity of conventional weapons. The principle was simple: there should be a weapon in every room. The vulnerability is centralized defense. Relying on one tool in one location leaves the rest of your home undefended. The World War II hack was a mental shift. It was the art of seeing defensive potential in the mundane. Lacking rifles, the Home Guard were trained to see the house as an arsenal. That heavy cast iron skillet on the stove, a formidable club, the steel-headed hammer by the back door, a devastating close-quarters weapon, the sturdy leg of a broken chair. The basis for a trench club, even a sock filled with sand or canned goods, becomes a weighted sap. They were taught to pre-position these items, not for convenience, but for defense. A heavy fireplace poker was kept where it could be grabbed in an instant. This was effective because it ensured that no matter where an engagement occurred, the homeowner was never truly unarmed. It created a nightmare scenario for an intruder. Even if they disarmed the homeowner of one weapon, another was always in reach. For the intruder, it meant every room held an unpredictable threat. The fight wouldn't be over at the door. It would be a running battle. The modern application is to adopt this mindset of decentralized defense. This does not mean leaving firearms unsecured. It means thoughtfully supplementing your primary defense plan with a network of simple, effective tools. Walk through your home. In the kitchen, a heavy skillet, a solid rolling pin, or a fire extinguisher that can blind an attacker before being used as a bludgeon. In the living room, a heavy floor lamp or a sturdy walking cane. In the bedroom, a high-lumen tactical flashlight. A powerful strobe can disorient and temporarily blind an attacker in the dark. A heavy maglite-style flashlight is both a light and a club. The key is to think about reach, weight, and durability. Identify these items and make them accessible. Don't leave the heavy flashlight in a drawer. Leave it on the nightstand. You are not building an armory. You are applying a strategic mindset to the objects you already own, just as the resilient generation of World War II did. Number 4, the kitchen. Arsenal, disorientation, and delay. Following the principle of a weapon in every room, World War II civil defense thinking delved deeper. While a cast iron skillet offers a final response, less lethal tactics were designed to create chaos and disorientation. An intruder expects a physical confrontation. They do not expect to be blinded and choked by weaponized pantry staples. The vulnerability is an intruder's focus on a singular threat. They are prepared for a fight with a person, not for a sensory assault that attacks their ability to see and breathe. The World War II hack, born from passed down knowledge, was to weaponize the spice rack. Anecdotes speak of keeping a handful of flour, coarse black pepper, or hot pepper flakes ready. The tactic was to throw it directly into the intruder's face. The goal wasn't permanent injury, but to induce incapacitating shock. Imagine the effect. A cloud of fine particles fills the intruder's eyes, nose, and mouth. Their eyes slam shut. They cough and gag violently. In that instant, they are blind, choking, and disoriented. Their focus shifts from aggression to a desperate need to see and breathe. They are not a threat. They are a panicked individual, giving the homeowner a golden opportunity to flee or retrieve another weapon. This was brutally effective because it was unexpected. It is asymmetric warfare for the home. The pain and panic are primal. It bypasses tactical thinking. This tactic also requires no strength, making it an ideal defense for anyone. The modern application has two tiers. First, the direct equivalent, high-quality pepper gel. It is the technological evolution of throwing pepper, and it is incredibly effective. For indoor use, gel is preferable as it is less likely to contaminate the entire room. But in the spirit of World War II ingenuity, the backup plan is to look at your pantry as a source of tactical advantage. A fire extinguisher, as mentioned, delivers a massive cloud of vision-obscuring and choking chemical powder, perfectly replicating the flour bomb on a much larger scale. Disorientation is a weapon, one an intruder is almost never prepared to face. Number 5, the living wall of thorns. A core principle of military defense is channeling. You use obstacles to force an enemy into predictable paths where your defenses are strongest. While the Army uses minefields, the World War II homeowner used the garden. The vulnerability is an open, welcoming landscape. A manicured lawn with low-cut bushes is an intruder's dream. It offers unlimited access points and quick escape routes. The World War II-era hack was the hostile garden. This went beyond victory gardens for food. The strategic placement of certain plants was a defensive measure. People were encouraged to plant thick, dense, and painfully thorny hedges under windows and along property lines. Species like hawthorn, pyracantha, firethorn, and barberry were chosen for a reason. These plants grow into tangled masses of wood and thorns, nearly impossible to push through quickly or quietly. Imagine a burglar approaching a window only to find a 5-foot-thick hedge of barberry, its branches covered in needle-sharp spines. They cannot go through it without pain and noise. They are forced to move along the hedge, which channels them toward a predictable location like the front door, a place where the homeowner is most prepared. The garden was turned into a living barrier that worked 24/7. It was the first layer of defense. This was effective because it's a massive psychological deterrent. A house surrounded by thorny foliage looks like a hard target. Burglars look for the easiest target. A living wall of thorns is not easy. It also eliminates hiding spots directly beneath a window. The modern application is one of the easiest to implement. Start thinking of your garden as a defensive tool. Consult a nursery about the best thorny barrier plants for your climate. Excellent choices include barberry, pyracantha, hawthorn, or tough rugosa roses. Plant them directly under all ground floor windows. Plant them along fence lines. By investing a little effort into a hostile garden, you employ a silent, sleepless sentry using the same wisdom that protected homes during the war. Number 6. The Sandbag strong point. When we imagine the defense of a city in World War II, images of sandbags come to mind. They were piled around anti-aircraft guns, government buildings, and the homes of ordinary citizens. This wasn't for show. The humble sandbag is one of the most effective defensive materials ever conceived. The vulnerability it addresses is the kinetic force of an attack. A wooden door or a pane of glass offers almost no resistance to a determined assault or a bomb blast. The World War II hack was the widespread use of sandbag fortifications. Civil defense manuals knew a simple secret of physics. A loose material like sand is incredibly effective at absorbing and dissipating energy. When a blast wave hits a sandbag, its energy is spent moving thousands of individual sand grains. Homeowners were instructed to stack sandbags around basement windows and against ground floor walls. A properly constructed sandbag wall could stop small arms fire and absorb shrapnel, making the difference between a building collapsing and it remaining standing. Beyond the physics, sandbags were effective because they were cheap, readily available, and could be deployed by anyone. Sand or local earth could be used. Psychologically, a sandbagged home was a fortress. It sent a signal that this was not a soft target. For an intruder, seeing sandbags around a basement window changes the calculation. It is no longer breaking glass. It is an exercise in excavation. The modern application is primarily for emergency preparedness. Every prepared home should have a supply of empty sandbags. In times of civil unrest or natural disaster, they are invaluable. Purchase a pack of 50 or 100 polypropylene sandbags. Store them. In an emergency, fill them with sand or earth from your yard. Identify your weak points: basement windows, sliding glass doors. A few layers of sandbags stacked outside dramatically increases their resistance to forced entry. You can also use them to reinforce a safe room from the inside. The lesson from the sandbag strongpoints of London is that even formidable threats can be neutralized by the simplest materials. Number 7, the sharpened spade and the hardened broom. The Home Guard, famously known as Dad's Army, was initially so poorly equipped they often drilled with broomsticks and farm tools instead of rifles. This instilled a crucial mindset. A weapon is not defined by its purpose, but by its potential. This led to the transformation of common tools into formidable standoff weapons. The vulnerability is the reactionary gap, the space an attacker crosses before you can respond. To win a defensive encounter, you need time and distance. The World War II hack was to recognize the defensive qualities of tools with long handles. A garden spade, a pitchfork, a heavy rake. These were pikes and spears in disguise. Civilians were taught a spade's edges could be sharpened with a file. A sharpened spade, held in a two-handed grip, becomes a terrifying weapon with a reach of 3 to 4 feet. It can be used for powerful jabs or slashing attacks. The psychological impact is immense. The pitchfork, of course, needed no modification to be a terrifying defensive tool. While stories of driving nails through broom handles are more folklore, the principle of hardening and adapting any available tool was central to the Home Guard ethos. Why was this so effective? Standoff distance. These tools allowed a smaller defender to fend off a larger attacker from a relatively safe distance, preventing them from being able to grab or punch. It creates a powerful visual deterrent. An intruder is prepared to fight a person, not what looks like a medieval polearm in a suburban hallway. The modern application is to take a critical look at the tools you have. You likely already own a perfect set of standoff weapons: a heavy garden spade, a steel rake, a crowbar. First, change your mindset. Pick it up, feel its weight, understand its potential. Second, consider accessibility. Keep 1 or 2 of these tools in accessible locations, like a utility closet near the back door. Taking a metal file to the edge of an old spade costs nothing. The lesson from Dad's Army is that you don't need a rifle to defend your home. Sometimes, all you need is a long handle, a weighted end, and the will to use it. Number 8, the psychology of a hard target. So far, we have focused on physical barriers and improvised weapons. But one of the most powerful lessons from the World War II home front was psychological. The goal was not just to make a home physically hard to enter, but to make it look like a nightmare to attack. It is the art of deterrence. The vulnerability is anonymity and perceived weakness. A burglar scans a neighborhood for the path of least resistance. A dark house, overgrown bushes, overflowing mail, these signal a soft target. The World War II era hack was to deliberately cultivate the appearance of a hardened home. This was a natural byproduct of many of the defenses we've discussed. A home with visible shutters, a thorny garden, and clear lines of sight sent a powerful message. The people here are serious. They are paying attention. This was amplified by the community-wide effort with air raid wardens on patrol and a general spirit of collective defense. An intruder wasn't just taking on one family. They were taking on a watchful neighborhood. This was effective because burglars are engaged in risk assessment. A home that visually broadcasts its preparedness flips that equation. The perceived risk skyrockets. In most cases, the burglar will simply move on. The battle is won without a shot fired. The modern application is to conduct a threat audit of your home's exterior. Stand on the street and look at it through the eyes of a predator. What messages does it send? Lighting? Is your home dark? Motion-activated floodlights are one of the most effective deterrents. Landscaping? Do overgrown bushes block the view of windows and doors? Trim them. Don't give an intruder a private place to work. Signage. A simple "Beware of Dog" sign or security company stickers add to the illusion of a hardened target. Maintenance. A well-maintained home suggests the owners are present and attentive. Visible security. The sight of a security camera, even a dummy one, is a powerful deterrent. The modern burglar fears being recorded. By layering these deterrents, you achieve the same effect. You transform your home from a soft target into a psychologically intimidating fortress that tells any would-be intruder to keep walking. Number 9. The inner citadel. The reinforced safe room. In layered defense, there is always a final fallback position. For an army, it's the citadel. For the World War II homeowner, it was their shelter. Whether it was the Anderson shelter buried in the garden or the indoor Morrison shelter, this was the inner citadel for a last stand. The vulnerability is the lack of a final secure space. If an intruder gets inside, a typical modern home offers no further barriers. Interior doors are flimsy. The situation is chaotic. The World War II hack was the creation of a designated shelter. The government issued Anderson shelters, kits of corrugated steel that families buried in their yards and covered with earth. For those without a garden, the Morrison shelter was a heavy-duty steel cage, often disguised as a dining table, to protect a family from a collapsing house. Many also improvised, reinforcing basements with sandbags and timber beams. This space became the family's rally point. When the sirens wailed, everyone knew where to go. It was a pre-planned, fortified position. This was effective because it provided a single, clear objective in a moment of chaos. It is far easier to defend one reinforced door than 3 flimsy bedroom doors. The shelter was designed to withstand bombs, but this also made it an excellent stronghold against an invader. An intruder fighting their way through a reinforced door into a confined space where the defender is waiting is at a massive tactical disadvantage. The modern application is to create your own inner citadel. This does not require a Hollywood-style vault. First, select the right room. An interior room with no windows, like a walk-in closet or basement corner, is ideal. Second, harden the door. This is critical. Replace a hollow core door with a solid core or steel door. Replace the short screws in the hinges and strike plate with 3-inch screws that anchor the frame to the wall studs. Install a heavy-duty deadbolt. A security bar adds another formidable layer. Third, stock the room. It should contain essentials to wait out a threat. Communication, a charged cell phone and a backup battery pack. First aid, a trauma kit. Defense, a defensive tool, like high-power pepper gel and a heavy flashlight. Sustenance, water and energy bars. Tools, a small crowbar. Creating this inner citadel is the final piece. It ensures that even if all other defenses fail, you have a fortified space to protect your family and call for help. It is the ultimate expression of the World War II mindset. Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. These 9 tricks are more than clever hacks, and they are a testament to a mindset we have largely lost. a mindset of ingenuity, resilience, and proactive self-reliance. The men and women of the Second World War did not have smart alarms. They had their wits and the common objects around them. They understood true security is not a product you buy, it's a system you create. A system of layers, starting with psychological deterrence, moving to physical barriers, and continuing to improvised weapons and a final inner citadel. They use the principles of channeling, decentralized defense, and disorientation to turn a simple home into a frustrating and unappealing target. The world has changed. The nature of a threat has not. An intruder still seeks the path of least resistance. They still fear noise, pain, and the unknown. The forgotten knowledge of the World War II generation is a powerful reminder that the most effective defense is often the simplest. It is about seeing your home not as a passive box, but as an active participant in your own defense. The greatest lesson from the Blitz is not one of fear, but one of empowerment. We've unearthed these 9 tricks, but we know there is more forgotten knowledge out there. What was your favorite trick? Do you remember similar stories passed down from your own family? Share your thoughts in the comments. You are part of this community of knowledge. If you believe this wisdom is as vital today as it was 80 years ago, subscribe for more deep dives into forgotten skills. And if you know someone who could benefit, share this video. Help us ensure the ingenuity of the generation that saved the world is never forgotten. Stay safe and stay prepared.